Good evening, everybody. I always like to answer comments better with a video, then I get more views, right? I don't know if that's how it works. I might be messing up the algorithm doing this. Oh, here's a deer. Good thing I'm keeping my eyes on the road. So our friend Mr. Jeremiah Albright wrote a comment asking about the situation that took place a few years ago. I'm not going to mention the town by name because I'm not here to besmirch the town in any way. And I won't even mention the supermarket. And I've already mentioned these things before, but I don't need to do it again. You can look in the past videos for that. And with all that, I don't mean to besmirch the town or the supermarket. Just want to tell a story about what happened to me. Are we still recording here? Now we're kind of on the side. What's going on here? I should slow down a bit, shouldn't I? All right. So it's a town near in the smallest county in New York State, and in that county there's a few areas that are kind of close to each other that have a sizable Orthodox Jewish population, and this town does not. I mean, in the greater town there is a conservative synagogue, not an Orthodox synagogue, but a conservative synagogue with a daily prayer service. So a little bit more traditional conservative, I would say. But there's no Orthodox synagogue, as far as I know, in that entire town. But I work there as a chaplain in the state hospital. And I was going over there to purchase some items, I believe, for the hospital. Something that they needed for a feast or something along those lines, or maybe just want to go shopping, get some food, get something for lunch. And remember, they don't service lunch there at the hospital. And a certain gentleman, I was minding my own business, trying to be very polite, being mindful of my space, and I know at least one of the times, if not both of the times, I went out of my way not to wear my long coat and my black hat. I was wearing a baseball cap. And this guy just was like, cursing at me and said, "Go back to Muncie." I don't live in Muncie. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to mention Muncie. But, and then I believe it was the same individual on another occasion. Did the same thing and even followed me and even went the wrong way in the parking lot just to yell out the window and yell at me for daring to shop at ShopRite. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to mention ShopRite. I used to work at ShopRite. Different ShopRite. I didn't do anything other than I didn't bump into him. I didn't say anything to him. I didn't even look at him. I was minding my own business, shopping, being aware of my surroundings, not being aloof and mindless, just minding my own business, shopping in the store, and that's what happened. I don't know what else to tell you. That's exactly what happened. And like I said, I compare it, and I went out of my way not to offend people, because I know it might be uncomfortable for people in this county to see a Hasidic Jew. So I went out of my way to put on a baseball cap, try to be respectful to the community where I was visiting and it's where I work. It's a village in the town where I work. It's not. I don't work in that village, but it's very close by there. The way that New York State politics works is that villages are inside of towns. I hear constantly, people say that the issues in the county there are overcrowding, zoning laws. I don't even live there. I live in a rural community in Sullivan County, 2 counties north, 80 miles away. But I work there, and I still work there in that town. That's the whole story. I don't know what else to tell you. And I kind of wish I had my camera running, just in case that happened again. I did file a police report, didn't hear anything back about it. But the second time when it happened, I was able to get his license plate. I filed a police report. I mean, it's just, I don't know where people, I guess that's what people learn in public school. It reminds me of Trump derangement syndrome, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this person was a self-hating Jew. More likely than not, because in general, Christians and Muslims who also believe in God like we do, we have mutual respect for each other. It's the self-hating Jews who mostly are fighting against us. Every now and then there are some nice secular Jews, but for the most part, it's the left-wing Democrat secular Jews who hate President Trump, who hate our community, and sometimes they'll rile up. This is what we had in Bloomingburg. All the people who were fighting against the Hasidic community were self-hating Jews, and a lot of the Christian people were very welcoming, but that's how it is. And and I guess it comes from like the Democrat mindset of collectivism, where they want to butt into our business. The same things with our education and all kinds of things. And for this reason, I constantly say that the Orthodox Jewish community has to do more and more. We're doing it, but we have to do more to unite with Christians, Muslims, and even with secular people who are libertarian and care about liberty, and stand up against these bullies on the left who are trying to take over, take away our freedoms and make everybody follow their ways, and they accuse the right of that, and more, like I said this morning in my video, we see that, President Trump, wants to make an appointment that if President Obama had done it, the left wouldn't stop talking about how historical it is that the person from this particular community has reached such a high level in government. Never happened before. And because President Trump is doing it, now on our side we don't care. People are people. And on their side, because President Trump is doing it, he can't do anything right. Meaning for us it's a non-issue. People are people. And that's it. And we want to mind our own business. And let people live and let live. And we want to be left alone, and we want to leave everyone else alone. Which is a classical Jewish approach. We just want to live our lives. We want to follow our religion. We're not trying to proselytize anybody else. If you want to join us, you're welcome. But we're not pushing on anybody else. With all due respect, I love my Muslim neighbors very much, my Muslim co-workers. But the truth is, they have a different ideology than we have, meaning they feel it's a sin for anybody to eat pork. We don't believe it's a sin for anybody to eat pork. For Jews, it's a sin to eat pork. We're not here to impose our religion on anybody else. We just want to live and let live, which is, I know it's a Christian idea, but the early Christians were all Jews. They got this idea from somewhere. So that's my story. That's what happened, and I compared it in another video. Whereas I was going out of my way not to offend the sensibilities of those around me. I was once shopping in Curious Joel, and there was a young woman who was wearing a religious item that in the Orthodox Jewish world only a man would wear. And it would be anathema and perhaps even considered sinful in almost any Orthodox Jewish community, generally, for a woman to wear this. It's certainly not customary to do so. And in a very traditional community like Kiryas Joel, it would certainly go against their sensibilities, and yet nobody said anything. Nobody yelled at her. Nobody threw rocks at her the way that the media would have you believe about the Hasidim. They treated her with respect like another human being, even though she was, I don't think her intentions were necessarily to be offensive. But the stereotype of how people view Hasidim would have assumed that, this girl would have been burned at the stake, for doing this. But nobody cared. She wasn't from the community there. It was nobody's business. And everybody left her alone and respected her. So that's what I have to share. I don't know what else to say here. But thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment. And we'll see you all later. Take care.